Hello F1 fans, welcome back to the F1 Masters podcast brought to you by AUBG Daily. As usual, you're joined by myself, Kari, and Vasco. And in this episode, in honor of the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup happening this year in 2026, we have decided to imagine what an F1 World Cup would look like if it were to happen this year. So, Kari, if you want, you can give us some background on some other championships that have happened, like between countries in motorsport.
Yeah, this idea has already been considered, and actually such championships have occurred. For example, the A1 Grand Prix, which took place from 2005 to 2009, and drivers could represent their nations. It was a spec series which had sprint and feature races, and I think there were around 21 teams in total and 35 drivers for the whole span of the series. And it liquidated in 2009, but this was like something that started this off. And then also the Race of Champions, which though does not use Formula 1 or Formula spec cars, it uses rallycross or other off-road cars, and pretty much it like a lot of F1 drivers have competed, such as Sebastian Vettel, Michael Schumacher, and others. And yeah, this is what has been done so far, but our idea is to use spec Formula 1 cars for this series, and we have the format is that we have used the 11 nations which have accumulated the most points in the 2025 Formula 1 season. This is the criteria, and we have a pool of drivers for each nation, and we're going to discuss which two we think should be picked for this championship.
And I feel like it would be better to start from the bottom teams up to the top, because it would be easier with the bottom teams, because let's say do we start with Canada?
I think we start with Canada. Yes. So for Canada, David, can you say which ones we have?
So like the whole list of drivers that we have, or just the people I think should be?
Okay, maybe directly we can say the people who we think should be.
Who we think should be
picked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Canada, the first person who I will assume everyone will have, but that is Lance Stroll, only driver in Formula 1, and honestly, not even joking, probably the best Canadian racing driver in the world at the moment, which speaks volumes for the current state of Canadian motorsport. But my second driver is actually going to be Bruno Spengler. Now, he's kind of old at the moment, but he is a former DTM champion, which especially, I would say, 10 years ago was a very prestigious championship. He also currently drives as a Mercedes and BMW factory driver. So yeah, he's very experienced. He's actually 42 years old, I just realized. But very experienced and one of Canada's best modern racing drivers. So although kind of old, I think he's best fit for these kind of cars as well, because I see there's other drivers listed, but they're more NASCAR oriented, which is a different form of racing and could be more difficult to adapt from.
Yeah, that is a great shout. The only person that I thought would be capable of this, Nicholas Latifi. Like, he's no longer like racing, but he's the only person currently who is in ideal age, and at the same time has experience with these cars, because F1 cars are quite different from everything else and from most of the other series. So that is why, even though I don't like the whole fit of the teams, Stroll, Latifi, like that would be the mean team, but still I feel like Latifi is the best option here.
Yeah, I mean, I would pick Latifi as well, but the thing is he hasn't driven in F1 since 2021, right? Since
22.
Oh yeah. So it's been like 4 years, which is a lot. Bruno Spengler is a nice pick, but I would actually pick Zachary Robichon, who is driving in IMSA, and he actually won the championship in 21. Right now he's third, so yeah, I know that the difference in cars is huge, but still I think that this can be an interesting pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, based on, I think maybe, obviously Nicholas Latifi has the most experience with Formula 1 cars, but Zachary Robichon, as he has won the IMSA championship more recently, and he's still quite active in the series. maybe he would be best available. He's 33 years old. Or should Nicholas Latifi come out of retirement and do the job? I'm kind of on the fence right now. That's why I'm asking what you guys think at the moment.
Well, let's give Robichon a shot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're choosing Lance Stroll and Zachary Robichon for
Okay.
Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Our next country is Thailand, and once again we have one clear driver, and that is Alex Albon. He's actually, I feel like, one of the few drivers that gets to take advantage of his nationality because there's so many British drivers, which we'll get onto. But Alex Albon, representing Thailand, has a guaranteed shot in this championship. But the second driver, who should it be? Based on the options, which are not many, I would go for Tassanapol Intrapuvazek from Formula 2. I think he is the best option.
I have also picked him. I cannot pronounce his name, but he is my pick as well. Coming from Formula 2, and he has potential. I feel like it would be a great fit. One more experienced, one younger prodigy.
I agree, he is the best pick. He is now in Formula 2, pretty young, talented driver. So I think we can all agree that this is the roster for Team Thailand.
Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that. Our next country is a bit more interesting. We have Germany. Historically, obviously very successful in motorsport, but in the last few years, I would say post Sebastian Vettel, post Nico Rosberg, there's been a bit of a drought when it comes to German drivers. But there's still a good selection, I think. So I'll actually read out some of the options that we have. We have Nico Hülkenberg, Oliver Goethe, Tim Tremnitz, Mick Schumacher, Pascal Wehrlein, or Maximilian Günther. These are what we consider the best German drivers in the world at the moment. So, I mean, for a first driver, I think we have to pick Nico Hülkenberg. I think this is undeniable.
Indeed, and especially with the podium last year, that was one shining light in the not really good-looking future of Germans in F1. But are we excluding Sebastian Vettel from the conversation?
I mean,
I feel like even 40-year-old Sebastian Vettel would be better than current day Mick Schumacher.
I mean, my only concern is he's not at all pushed to do any racing ever since he retired from F1. So I think we're beyond this point because it's not like Nicholas Latifi, who he didn't retire. It's just that they decided not to retain him. So he's still capable of doing it. Sebastian Vettel, he decided that his time was up. So I don't think that he should be eligible, in my opinion. Plus, I think these drivers that they have, they're good drivers. So
yeah, we have a pool to choose from. So maybe for this one, let's exclude Sebastian Vettel.
Yes. Yeah. But imagine 10 years ago, they could have a lineup of Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg.
And before it's Michael Schumacher, 2012, for example.
Yeah. They would have had such good lineups.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
They would have reserves like Adrian Sutil and
and Nico Hülkenberg.
And Nico, of course, yeah. So yeah, the pool to choose from is not that strong, but still, we need to. So we have two drivers from Formula E. We have a few from Formula 2, Formula 3. So there is some options.
Well, if I going fast through this, if I had to pick somebody, maybe my pick will be Pascal Wehrlein, because I feel like he may have given much more to the sport, but due to bad circumstances, I feel like his time in F1 was ended really not in the note that it should have been. So a second chance as the second driver for Germany, I feel like he'll do a great job.
I agree, because he's also Formula E champion. I think he won it last season or the season before that.
Season before, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that he can deliver, and I'm also picking Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, I was debating between him and Mick Schumacher, because Mick Schumacher is obviously driven in Formula 1 as well and drives IndyCar currently. But Pascal Wehrlein, I've always seen him as a really good driver, and I wanted him to take that Mercedes seat so much when Bottas took it. But yeah, he never got that seat and sadly did not get retained in F1, but still a fantastic and very underrated driver. So I would for sure have him along with Nico Hülkenberg. I think that's actually a pretty good lineup. Like this would be a competitive lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure they can compete with some other bigger nations, let's say, who have like bigger names right now in F1. So next up we can discuss New Zealand, which turns out that New Zealand have a lot of drivers in motorsport right
Yeah.
now. I'll just say just a few of the names. Of course, Liam Lawson in F1, Scott Dixon, Mitch Evans, Marcus Armstrong, Scott McLaughlin, Brendan Hartley, Earl Bamber, and Nick Cassidy, which is like an amazing pool of drivers. So, firstly, who is the first driver that you're picking?
Lawson. I don't think that there should be any debate about that.
Really, I think there are drivers better than Liam Lawson, from the ones listed.
Maybe in general as racing drivers, but for talking about F1, Lawson, I'm not his biggest fan, but I feel like he's not even that bad. Especially this season, we've seen, let's say, great performances, but I feel like Lawson deserves to be the first driver here.
I don't know. I disagree. I think he's a good driver, but I think people like Scott Dixon and Scott McLaughlin are so much better than him. I even like Mitch Evans and Nick Cassidy. Like they are very, very strong in a Formula E at the moment. And Liam Lawson is like the only driver that I've never seen him like be very competitive in a championship. Whereas these other guys, and these are the championships that are most relatable to Formula One.
Isn't Scott Dixon like 100 years old?
Yes, but he's still very good. Like last year, he won races in IndyCar. He is still competitive.
That's a fair point.
I'm not sure that would definitely translate really good to F1.
So I think we're gonna have a debate here because
I don't know.
okay, maybe at least we can pick one driver, like to have one certain driver. Who would you pick, David?
One certain? I would,
Yeah.
out of all of these,
Yeah.
I think Scott McLaughlin is the best. He has won the Supercars Championship in Australia, which is a fantastic championship. I think he's a great driver. He's won it 3 times. He has also won 7 races in IndyCar, and he has finished 3rd in the championship in IndyCar 2 consecutive years. I think he is extremely quick and one of the best drivers in the world, actually. So I would definitely pick him. I think he's great.
I'm still not sure that can translate in the same sense to F1, because as we were discussing, it is a championship that is very different to all of the other championships, and probably only Formula E currently has something similar to driving an F1 car, but I would definitely stick with a person with experience with 3 seasons in the sport, who has gone through all junior series, who actually has proved that he may not be the best on the grid, but he's definitely not the worst pilot, and he's very reliable. He won't be driving next to Max Verstappen, so we are sure that he will not be that bad. So I feel like I feel like it would be much more beneficial for the team to have somebody who has at least one race in an F1 car.
Okay, Kari? Sure.
Yeah, I would say that I will also pick Liam Lawson for to
Okay.
get at least one of the seats in this team.
Okay, I disagree, but majority vote. You know, we live in a democracy.
So for the second driver now, I think
I'll go with Liam Lawson.
what you picked, like Scott. Sorry, I
Scott
can't pronounce
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. Yeah,
Yes.
I think he is a good pick. I'm not following that much, IndyCar and other motorsport, but I am confident that David knows what he's talking about. So
I mean, I've been watching IndyCar for a couple years now, and I've watched the Indy 500 for 10 years now. So I follow it a lot. I also followed him in supercars. He's really a fantastic driver. I mean, there's good options here as well. Nick Cassidy, Mitch Evans, Formula E champion. So, and Brendan Hartley, Earl Bamber, they've won 24 Hours of Le Mans.
I quite like Brendan Hartley.
All of these drivers are very good options, I would say. But best available currently, I would say Scott McLaughlin is the best
Okay.
in my
Yeah, we
Let's
agree
give
with
it
you.
a
Okay.
shot.
So that's the second driver, or maybe the first driver in this team. I don't know. Like,
We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
in our imaginations.
I
Yeah.
guess, yes.
Okay,
Um,
and next up, we have, I think Spain is next up, yeah.
Spain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for Spain, we have the obvious F1 picks: Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz. But out of F1, we have Alex Palou, Mari Boya, and Pepe Marti. So first driver, who are we picking?
I think Carlos Sainz is absolutely.
I feel like both Alonso and Sainz are nailed it. Like
I will have a debate.
Yeah, I know that.
Because I mean, like, yes, they're great, but I think Alex Palou is so good. Like, I think he is, after like Max Verstappen, like he is probably like top 5 racing driver in the world at the moment. He has won IndyCar 3 years in a row. He won the Indy 500 last year as well, and he started last season. He won 7 of the first 8 races. He's absolute domination. This guy. He is, and it's a spec series, so all cars are equal. I really think he is fantastic. I think he's a terrific racing driver, and I think he would do really well and absolutely deserves to be in this lineup. I would say over Fernando Alonso, who I think is past his prime and has began to regress, and he is not at the level that he once was, in my opinion.
well, if I also really like Alex Palou, and I feel like once again I just haven't seen him in an F1 car so that I can say whether he would be good or bad. For Carlos Sainz, I don't think that there should be
Carlos
even a
Sainz is
debate.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree.
and
I agree.
about Fernando Alonso, it's just that you have the experience. You have a person who have been in the sport for so long and has proven numerous times that he can be good, and on his day, even if he's not 45 but 75, he may be unstoppable. So that is why I feel like, yeah, Alex Palou in the teams that we were talking before Spain, he would definitely get into all of them, and he may be the first option even. But when we talk about it, this is Fernando Alonso after all. This is a legend of F1 and one of the most recognizable faces, and the driver who has most entries into F1 Grand Prix, and a guy that we know that on his day he can be one of the best on the grid.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I'm for Palou, Vasco is for Alonso, so Harry, you can make the
That's
deciding vote, I guess.
Next time Harry should be the guy should be the guy announcing, so that he shouldn't be the decisive factor 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I guess I have to decide, but I really get the arguments about Alex Palou because, as you said, he's like very dominant right now, and I respect Fernando Alonso, but as you said, he's past his prime. He's probably going to retire soon anyway. So for this one, I'm going to pick Alex Palou. Vasco,
Alright.
I just decided that it's
Alex
better.
Palou is truly, like, absolutely would deserve this spot. He's so good at the moment.
Yeah, the salty Hamilton fan in me just woke up. No, I'm joking. I'm not salty towards Fernando Alonso. It's just that I like Alex Palou. So yeah. Okay. What's the next one we have?
Italy?
I think it's Italy, yeah. Okay, so for Italy, we have Kimi Antonelli. Then we have Leonardo Fornaroli, who won F2 last year. Gabriele Mini, who is currently in F2. And we also have some WEC drivers, Antonio Giovinazzi and Antonio Fuoco. Giovinazzi with F1 experience, of course. So I think first pick should be Kimi Antonelli. No debate.
Yeah, no debate
No,
here.
Okay.
And
And second driver.
if you had to pick the second driver,
Wow, that's an interesting one because Fornaroli was really strong last year in F2. Even though Giovinazzi won
Currently
the
McLaren reserve.
Yeah, Giovinazzi won 24 hours of Le Mans, which is very significant. So, but maybe I would give Leonardo Fornaroli a chance in F1. That's my pick. Yeah.
Okay. Should I go or you want to go or?
well, I say that I would agree. Giovinazzi would be my third option, but Fornaroli, because he's young, because he just won F2, and I am for a few years now, I've been a bit frustrated that really talented drivers that are even winning F2 are not given a chance in F1, even though they deserve it, even though they have the talent. And I would be really happy to see Fornaroli on the F1 grid. So that is why I feel like, young pairing between him and Kimi Antonelli would be really exciting to watch. Maybe a bit crash prone at times, but really exciting to watch.
Yeah, I could generally make the argument about Giovinazzi because obviously he has experience in F1 as well and very successful in WEC, winning 24 Hours of Le Mans. But Leonardo Fornaroli, what he did last year in Formula 2 was incredible, and he won F3 the previous year as well. So, extremely young driver, really talented.
Nice.
Leonardo Fornaroli, he gets the spot.
He's our pick.
Yes.
Okay, then I think we should do France as well. Because France, they had less points than Italy actually, but okay, we'll do them now. So we have...
They had 3 drivers in F1 though.
Yeah, true. These are Pierre Gasly, Isaac Hadjar and Esteban Ocon. And outside F1 we have Kevin Estre, Jean-Eric Verne and Theo Pourchaire. So I think first pick should be Pierre Gasly. Because he is like in form as well right now.
Agreed.
Yeah, he's probably the best.
I think Pierre Gasly is driver number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for driver number 2, maybe Vasco can start this time.
Well, here it may be because of the Red Bull family and all that stuff, but actually, I once again apologize to Isaac Hadjar if he's watching this podcast. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game, and last season actually I expected him to be just another rookie in the RB car. That is disappointing, but actually Hadjar surprised me, and from the start of the season, even though this Red Bull car is like a super slow track, I actually quite like Isaac Hadjar. I like his qualifying pace. He still has a few things to develop in his race pace, but he is still young. He has a lot of things to polish, but I would definitely give him the seed because for top speed and for potential, he can be the guy, and even after a season or two, he can even become better than Pierre Gasly. And Esteban Ocon, this guy is really strange. I don't know how to put it, but he's one of the more frustrating drivers on the grid because I'm sure that he has the talent, he has the speed, but he's super inconsistent usually, and I don't know what is his future in F1, but I feel like I expected much more from him, and for like 4 or 5 years ago I expected him to take the next step, and he's never taking that next step. And that is why he has consistently been the definition of the midfield, of like really midfield driver, and that is why I feel like Hadjar can bring much more to that team.
Okay. I think it's kind of tough. I mean, Isaac Hadjar I think is better than Esteban Ocon, for sure.
Agreed.
It is probably only experience-wise that Ocon has been in the sport for a really long time.
For like 10 years now, I think.
Yeah, he only had that gap, that 1 year gap, but
he's also pretty consistent in his performance.
But let's consider the outside F1 picks because I know that David.
To give some like shout outs to these people. I mean, Kevin Estre is a 2-time WEC champion and currently drives for Porsche. He's one of the best drivers in WEC. Jean-Eric Verne, very experienced in Formula E. He's driven Formula 1 as well.
Toro Rosso.
2-time champion in Formula E, probably the best Formula E driver they've ever had. And Theo Pourchaire, who I would say if we did this like 2 years ago, for example, Theo Pourchaire would get in this lineup because he was, especially when he was going out of Formula 2, when he won the championship, he was like on fire and he deserved the seat. He never got it, and since then his hype has kind of fallen.
Yeah.
So
he's one of these what if stories.
Yeah.
Felipe Drogovic as well.
Yeah.
But
so who do you pick?
Considering like the F1 factor, I suppose I'll still go with Isaac Hadjar.
Sure.
I think he has still a lot of growing to do, but he has shown a lot of potential.
Yeah, and also he may be better fit with Gasly personality wise because Esteban Ocon, as we know, he's an alright driver, but his personality is not the greatest, and we've seen some battles with his teammates. So
yeah.
Okay. Then next up, this will be a pretty quick one. We have Monaco because in there we have only 2 drivers eligible to drive in F1. And these are the 2 Leclercs, Charles and Arthur Leclerc Jr. So I feel like we can just, pick these two and
Yeah, honestly, there's like nothing to discuss. Really.
These picks are pretty
Yeah,
self-explanatory.
there's like
so
almost no other Monaco drivers, so it's not a terrible lineup. I mean, Charles Leclerc will carry, but Arthur has experience driving Formula One cars at least, so there is that.
Okay, and then the three last countries that we're gonna do. Third one is Australia. For Australia, we have, of course, Oscar Piastri. We have Will Power, Jack Doohan, and Christian Mansell. I feel like Oscar Piastri should be driver number one here.
once again, are we excluding Daniel Ricciardo?
I think we are, right? Because he hasn't driven for like 2 years now. Or are we though? Maybe we should include him this time.
I feel like we may include. I'm not sure that he's doing any racing
not.
stuff.
He's
now.
not. Yeah, he said he's gonna retire. He's a Ford ambassador now, from what I
Yeah, he
know.
doesn't race anymore.
Yeah, but maybe we should include him just for the nostalgia.
Yeah, but he's still 35 or 36, something like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like if he goes into an F1 car right now, he may be better than at least 3 or 4 people on the current grid. So
Really?
Wow.
When he was driving, was he better than 3 or 4 people on
Actually-
the grid at that time?
he would be better than Lance Stroll.
For sure, yeah, maybe. Okay, Lance Stroll is the valid
He
one.
was so bad. Like.
Okay, but yeah, just consider that one of the other picks is Will Power, who is 45 years old. Just saying, like, this is incredible. The guy's driving.
It's
at
Will
45.
Power though. It's
Yeah.
Will Power.
I don't. You can tell us more about Will Power maybe because you followed. him.
Will Power is an IndyCar driver. He's one of the most successful in history, actually. He's won the championship, Indy 500, like all the important things. Like, yeah, 2-time champion of IndyCar. He has 43 wins in IndyCar and over 100 podiums, which is, I think, very impressive. And yeah, he's 45 years old, but he's a really good driver. I like him a lot.
But do you see him competing in F1 at 45 years old? That's the one. I don't think it's very. You know,
Why
realistic.
all IndyCar drivers have these super catchy, flashy names?
Yeah.
They're like, you're in WW, you have John Cena Max.
You should look through the whole list. It's
Yeah.
quite the
So
championship.
are we considering Jack Doohan for the second seat? Because he.
I feel like if we're thinking logically, it should be Jack Doohan, but I would be really interested to see like the past and the present of Australia combined together in a team. So I would give Danny Ricciardo the benefit of the doubt, and I would give him a shot.
I would just say Jack Doohan because I feel like it should be drivers who recently competed in F1, like really recently. So David, it's you to decide now.
Oh my god. I really don't like Jack Doohan at all. He's a terrible driver, but
Why don't you give Ricciardo a shot? He's not even that
he's
old.
not current driver. He's not a
Exactly.
current driver. I would Jack Doohan. I'll do it.
Okay,
I mean, I'm
Vasco,
sorry to
yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo, but he's just not current. If he was still driving, I would definitely pick him. But
Okay,
Yeah, but,
fair point.
I feel like if he jumps into an F1 car, he will not do that bad of a job.
Okay,
maybe.
let's move on
Maybe.
to Netherlands.
We will never know.
For the Netherlands, we have Max Verstappen, Richard Verschoor, Nick de Vries, Renger van der Zande, and Robin Freins. So first pick, obviously Max Verstappen.
Indeed.
And second pick, what do we have? Who are you considering?
I would go with Nick de Vries, actually.
Wow.
I mean, he's been in F1 and he's pretty good in WEC. I would say he's also won Formula E, of course. Obviously, when he was in F1, he was not the best, but still, like, I think considering all the factors, he's best prepared for F1.
Yeah, I feel like the same. I was doing some mental gymnastics with Richard Verschoor, but I still think that Nick de Vries would be the best choice here.
Okay, fair because he also has F1 experience and he won Formula E as well.
Yeah, he has a lot of
yeah.
racing experience.
Yeah.
He's still like a perfect age for racing.
True.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Netherlands locked in, and then Final
that
one.
was quite fast.
Final one. Very important. The UK. Here
I
we
feel
have
like here we would have some
debates.
some strong debates.
Okay, let's see. We have Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, George Russell, Ollie Behrman, and Arvid Lindblad. All of these are current F1 drivers, just saying.
And who is the pick from IndyCar? Isn't there like a
There's actually-
77-year-old driver who has like 7,000 wins?
Yeah.
There's two drivers that are in IndyCar that are British, but they are not.
Who are
good
they?
At all. One of them is Louis Foster. The other guy is Jack Harvey, who only does the Indy 500. And every other race, he's actually the pit lane reporter.
Wow.
Yes. Fun
That's
fact,
a random
fun
one.
fact of the day.
Okay. Okay, let's start with, I don't know, David this time, because he
Me?
made the decision last
Okay.
time. Yeah.
So this is tough. Now, I would say I would narrow it down to Hamilton, Norris, and Russell off
Yeah.
the bat because
I mean, we like Ollie Behrman, but...
Behrman's
yeah.
good, not enough experience.
Yeah,
though.
true.
And Arvid Lindblad as well.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say, considering because we're also basing this off of last season as well.
True.
I think Lando Norris as the world champion should get the seat.
Unfortunately, he has to.
I mean, all of us agree
He
here.
has
yeah.
to.
Okay, I'm putting him as driver number one. And then it's between Hamilton and Russell at this point.
Honestly, George Russell at this moment is better than Lewis Hamilton.
Absolutely agree with that. Like George Russell, I don't like him. I don't like Lando Norris as well. they're don't get me wrong. They're an amazing talents, amazing drivers. Character-wise, there are some things that needs to be done there. They're like these typical British, super annoying people. But still amazing drivers, amazing talents in the primes of their careers. So I feel like even though legacy-wise it is Lewis without a doubt, I feel like these two would get the best results.
Yeah, okay.
Would you agree here?
I have to agree because majority wins. I personally, I can also see the point because George Russell right now is better than Hamilton, so I would agree with you.
I mean, Lando Norris is the reigning world champion. I feel like he also automatically should qualify for the World Cup. The world champion should qualify for the World Cup. It makes sense.
Fair point.
Well, they are eliminated usually in the group stage.
Yeah, but we'll give it to Lando here. So okay, we have all 22 drivers. Should we say who they are now, or?
Yeah, we can do a quick run through.
Okay, so do we go in bottom to up or how? Which order are we?
It doesn't really matter. We can start from the UK. We have Lando Norris, George Russell. The Netherlands, we have Verstappen and Nick de Vries. In Australia, we have Piastri and Jack Doohan. We have Gasly and Hadjar. Really interesting pairing for France. For Germany, we have Nico Hülkenberg and Pascal Wehrlein, Alex Palou somehow, and Carlos Sainz for Spain.
Somehow.
I had to include that. I actually like Alex Palou a lot. For Italy, we have the former F2 champion for Neroli. Actually, the current F2 champion. He's still F2 champion. And Kimi Antonelli, who may be the world champion soon.
Yeah.
For Thailand, we have Alex Albon and...
To są na polnych repływach, tak? Yeah.
For New Zealand, we have Liam Lawson and...
Scott McLaughlin.
We have Lance Stroll and...
Zachary Robichon.
Zachary Robichon. Zachary Robichon. And we have the Leclerc brothers for Monaco.
Yeah. Are we satisfied with the lineups?
Yeah, so who would win, as this is like a team championship, who would win the constructors, I guess?
First, let's start. Who do we think would be at the bottom of constructors?
At the bottom, I would say probably Thailand. No, Alex Albon is good, but
I feel like Canada are strong contenders for the last place.
Canada, probably.
But probably second to last would be more interesting because Thailand or I don't know, or New Zealand.
Thailand or New Zealand, for sure.
Probably.
They would be in those bottom places. I feel like I guess, are we going building up like maybe who's better and better, like some kind of
Yeah,
in a way?
let's do that first because Canada, if they're at the bottom, I feel like New Zealand would be above them, and after that we will have Thailand.
Okay,
Maybe.
okay,
And
sure.
probably, and most probably the next would be Germany. I feel like maybe or Monaco. And
Monaco, yeah,
here is
because, yeah.
yeah, but we
Well,
don't.
Charles Leclerc is the best out of the four.
Fair.
Arthur Leclerc is the worst out of the four, but Charles Leclerc, don't we think he will carry? To such
Yeah,
a degree
that's
he
what
would be-
that's what I've been thinking. That Charles Leclerc can give you a win somewhere like 1, 2, 3 wins throughout the season. He can give you some podiums, and even if Team Germany is more consistent, they would be more consistent at like 7th, 8th places.
Yeah.
And I feel like one good performance from Leclerc would erase all
What
that.
about Australia as well? Because it's equal
We had
cars.
Jack Doohan.
And
Yeah, I feel like Monaco and Australia will be pretty even.
I mean, Austria is better.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I feel
Unequal
like
cars.
but I feel like Jack Doohan would give you more consistent performances than Arthur Leclerc, which would bring more points that can turn out to be like really crucial throughout the season. So I would pick Australia over Monaco.
What about the Netherlands, for example? I know Max Verstappen is like, but Nick De Vries consider this.
Also,
like,
Italy,
this
we
factor.
have Kimi Antonelli and Leonardo Fornoli,
Yeah.
two extremely inexperienced drivers.
True.
Yes, and also for Spain we have Alex Palou and Carlos Sainz who can on their days can be like really good, but at the same time I feel like they may not even take a single win throughout the season or even
I think they would be very consistent.
they will be very consistent, but probably like 5th, 6th, somewhere around that. And I feel like if you compare it to, let's say, the Netherlands, Verstappen can give you a few wins and like erase all their efforts throughout the season with 3 wins out of 25 races.
Okay. What about France? We haven't mentioned them.
Here is the interesting part, because I feel like France can be low-key a dark horse for like being the
Championship
second
contenders.
best, the second best team on the
We
grid.
can all agree that UK is the favorite here, right?
Yeah,
UK
okay,
is
they're the heavy favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
But I feel like it is either the Netherlands or France for that second place.
David.
Netherlands or France? I mean, this is tough. I don't know. I mean, like Max Verstappen's the best driver, obviously, but Nick De Vries, I think he would bring them down a lot.
Yeah.
Because because looking at like other drivers, like Nick De Vries is not beating, like, either one of the UK drivers, either one of the Spanish drivers,
Either
one of the Italians,
Australia,
Oscar
of
Piastri,
France driver.
Charles Leclerc,
Yeah,
either
yeah.
one French driver.
Exactly.
Yes,
Even
and,
Nico Hulkenberg,
and that is the thing. I feel
Nick
like
De Vries will struggle to score points.
yeah, and but France would be the most consistent teams and would be the most consistent team apart from the UK. of
So
course.
I guess maybe in this aspect, I think I would think France is better. Than
Yeah, I would stick
Yeah.
with France
Yeah.
as well.
France
But-
second. But Netherlands third, or?
Yes,
Because
but
of
I
Max.
feel like they can be third.
And I guess
Spain.
like in the top 5, I would put Italy and Spain.
Yeah. And Australia somewhere around because of
Australia
Piastri.
further
Yeah.
down because
Yeah.
they have one driver
Fair.
basically.
Yeah.
Same goes for like
Monaco as well. Yeah.
So they would be midfield in terms
Yeah.
of points.
Also Germany, of course, midfield. Nico Hulkenberg, the king of the
It's
midfield.
it's a good lineup, Germany.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be further up in the midfield.
They,
than we would
they, can,
think,
they
but
can be consistent. They can be, I don't know, better than. They can be better than Australia or Monaco, or they can be worse
I would
because
curious to see Nico Hulkenberg in equal performance cars, how good he truly is.
Oh yeah.
Well-
Because we've never seen him in the top team, so
Maybe he will outperform other drivers which we think are better than him.
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
And regarding, we all agree that the UK team is going
Yeah.
to win it. Okay,
Yes.
and what about the battle of the pilots? Who would be dead last? Yeah, who would be dead last?
Probably someone like
Would say
Arthur Leclerc.
or Zachary Robinson.
Yeah, or Zachary
Or like the
Robinson.
Thailand, the Thai guy Tasmanapol maybe.
Yes, but he is in F2. He has
Yeah.
some.
Maybe.
I would say Zachary Robertson, as he has like not even like single seater. It doesn't drive single seaters at all, so it can be vastly different.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. What about at the top? I mean, we don't need to go through like an entire drivers' championship.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
like
but-
similar to F1, in terms of drivers.
Yeah,
like,
I guess-
obviously we have Max.
Yeah, but I
we
feel
have-
like the battle would be between Max, George, and Lando, and mainly because Max is the best of all them. But when you don't have a teammate that can consistently be at the top, then strategy wise, the UK team would have a lot of like benefit.
Yeah.
They would have beneficial
It would be
strategies, and
very
they would
similar
have
to last year actually.
Yeah, yeah,
McLaren
some-
versus.
yes, something like that. But I feel like Lando and George, they would battle like really consistently, and they will not give the edge to anybody, to any of the two of them. So that is why I feel like Verstappen would win that.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah. What about who would be the best non F1 driver performer? Who would you think?
I would say probably Alex Palou is one of my picks,
Alex Palou.
obviously. Yeah.
But we can
Also, Scott, like the hero guy.
Leonardo Fornaroli.
Yeah, I feel like we can make the case for Neroli.
Yeah. We have quite a good lineup. I feel like it's really strong. So
Yeah, if this would be so cool if it could actually happen. Like,
Yeah.
Even like I wish like even at like the Olympic Games they had like motorsport and everyone drove like a spec car, but
Or everybody's, I don't know, driving Fiat Punto.
yeah,
And all of them have to compete against each other.
yeah. But there's like a lot of I guess logistical challenges and who would finance this championship?
yeah,
Like
we need
the
someone.
countries that they're performing, would they? I don't know. It's
Even though it would be really interesting to see it
Yeah.
at least once.
Yeah, I think it would be a fun thing. But yeah, we're excited about the World Cup, and this is our predictions for what an F1 World Cup would look like. If you have any other suggestions, let us know in the comments below. And this is all for today from us. We're looking forward to the next episode. Till then, like, subscribe, follow us in AUBG Daily on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and stay tuned for more of our content. Thank you, and remember,
If you no longer go for a gap that exists,
You're no longer a racing driver. Follow us on Spotify as well.